Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. This week's Torah portion is called Toldot. Toldot means children, offspring, generations. It says these are the offspring of Isaac and Rebekah, and it discusses the birth of their twin sons, Jacob and Esav. But what's interesting is that we have an earlier Torah portion called Noach that begins with the exact same words. Instead of Ela Toldot Yitzchak, these are the offspring of Isaac, it says Ela Toldot Noach, these are the offspring of Noah. And the question is, why isn't Parshas Noach called Toldot? Because that's the second word of the Torah portion, offspring. And then when we come to this week's Torah portion, since there would already be a Torah portion called Toldot, this week's Torah portion should have been called Isaac, Yitzchak. Instead, we skip the second word Toldot at Noach and we call it the portion of Noach. And at this week's Torah portion, we go back to the second word, Ela Toldot, these are the offspring of Isaac. And the answer is that the name of a Torah portion captures the essence of the Torah portion. And the difference between Noach and Isaac was that Noach was only concerned about saving himself, not his future generations, his descendants, his offspring. And therefore he failed to inspire or convince anyone to repent. But Isaac represents what it means to be a father, to be a father who is dedicated to Toldos, to his children, to his offspring. How is that expressed? Because in this week's Torah portion we read about the twin sons, Jacob and Esav. Jacob was God-fearing, righteous, pious, following in the path of his parents. But on the other hand, Esav was wicked, rebellious, wayward child. And what does the Torah tell us? That Rebekah loved Jacob because Jacob was the good child. But who did Isaac love? He loved Esav. Why? Because he recognized that his child was struggling spiritually. And therefore the one and only thing that could help his child is love. And so not despite the fact that he was wayward did he love him, but specifically because he was a wayward, rebellious child. That's why he loved him even more and invested all his love in him, hoping that that love could help him heal from whatever challenges and struggles he was contending with and bring him back to the proper path. Now you may say Isaac failed because Esav never repents, never changes his ways. He remains rebellious and off the path of Judaism. But the truth is, our rabbis say that nobody honored his parents, no one honored his father more than Esav, meaning that Esav reciprocated that love. He expressed appreciation for the love of his father by honoring his father in an extraordinary way. But the truth is, despite that, Isaac may have failed in returning his son to the proper path. But there are certain failures in life that are noble failures, honorable failures, and that's when you never give up on your child. Isaac teaches us what it means to be a parent, and that's why this week's Torah portion is called Toldot, because he dedicated his life to his child. It's easy to love the child who gets straight A's, who's obedient, who makes you proud every day. But when you have a challenged child, like an Esav, who is disappointing you and causing you a heartache, do you give up on that child? Or do you say, no, I'm the father, I'm the mother, I will never give up on my child? And even if you failed, you succeeded. Because you show them that a parent's love is unconditional, never-ending love. That's why it says that when the Messiah will come, we will say, Isaac, you are the true father. Why? Abraham was also a great patriarch of the nation. Jacob was also our father. But Isaac teaches us what it means to be a parent. A parent never stops loving their child, no matter what. And whether you succeed in failing or fail in bringing your child back, you've always succeeded in your role as a parent. I remember hearing a story about this religious family in New York, and one of their children, their daughter, left the path of Judaism, was getting into all sorts of trouble, hanging out with the wrong crowd, with the wrong friends, and it was a tremendous disappointment and heartache to the parents watching their daughter spiral out of control. And their daughter would often hang out at night in clubs and bars with the wrong crowd doing the wrong things. One night the father and mother are in their bedroom and their daughter is not home yet because that's what she did. She came home very late, and 2 a.m. they hear the door opening. Their daughter's finally coming home and they were relieved to hear that she's home. But then they hear she brought home friends. There's a group of boys and girls in the house making noise downstairs, They go out into the backyard, they start drinking, they start putting on some music, and they can smell that they're smoking weed outside, and the father's blood was boiling. How dare she not only hang out in the wrong crowds, but bring them into my house? And suddenly, he pulled himself together and he said, I've been rebuking her for so long, it's done nothing. Let me change my attitude. So he got dressed and he went downstairs. With a big smile, he said, Golda, it's so good to see you. How's everything? Let me meet your friends. Who are they? And he went and said hello to every friend and spoke to them with kindness, with a smile. And then he said, are you hungry? Can I make you something to eat? And he went into the kitchen. He started preparing some food for them and bringing it out to them, and drinks, and serving them. And after he spent about an hour with them, he said, is there anything else I can do for you? If not, I'll go back to bed, but so good to meet all of you. And he went back upstairs. The next day, his daughter came to him with tears in her eyes and said, Abba, Daddy, I never felt so much love from you like last night. I know how painful it must have been for you to see me and my friends drinking and smoking pot in your house. And I thought when you would come down, you would yell at me and kick them out. But the love you showed them, the respect you showed them, and the love you showed me, I've never felt such unconditional love. And she said, Daddy, I know I haven't been home for Shabbat in many, many months, but this Shabbat I'm going to come home to spend Shabbat. I'm going to be at the Shabbat table with the family and observe Shabbat with you. I want to know how much I love you too. And that was the first step in this child's life, which ultimately brought her back to her family and to our community. Isaac teaches us what real parenthood is all about. And that's why this week's Torah portion is called Toldot. Have a wonderful day.